right. Last week we learned the beginning of this halacha that if the Eiruv was nechal, if someone ate the Eiruv, so you can't cook after the Eiruv was already eaten. What about hischil b'sasa and then v'nechal Eiruv? You're in the middle of preparing, and in the middle of your preparations, the Eiruv got destroyed, lost, somebody ate it. What makes it different? Okay, it's fine. Okay. Somebody ate the Eiruv, or whatever reason it is that it's not around anymore. Then goymer oisa isa. You're allowed to continue with the food preparation of that particular food that you're making. As long as you started it beheter, you can continue it, even though you don't have Eiruv anymore.
I thought whatever you do is a continuation of the food. Once you're continuing it, why isn't that good to continue anymore?
You have to have the Eiruv Kayim. Now, once the Eiruv is not Kayim, you cannot continue anymore, because it's a piggyback on that first thing.
It doesn't get any of that.
No, it doesn't. It's non-transferable. Okay, so it can't go further. And if that Eiruv is eaten, then you can't continue. But if you started preparing something, let's say you were already peeling the potatoes for the cholent, so now you could finish making the cholent altogether, because the beginning of this food had the Eiruv. When you started making this food, it had the Eiruv. You just need that the beginning of the making of the food had the Eiruv. But you cannot make the gefilte fish. You can't do anything else.
Like you then do the onions or whatever.
Yeah, because that's part of the same food. Okay, that's the halacha. Then you're allowed to finish it. Okay, let's just, for parrots, we'll do the Mishnah Berurah. Hischil b'sasai, rak lolush, goymer lafosai, oy tavshil, afil lo nicha dayin etzel ha'esh, rak hischil okagon shechotach roshe ha'lefosais, you cut the tops of the turnips. You're allowed to continue cooking it. So in other words, as long as you peel the onions for the cholent, you're allowed to make the cholent, even though after you peel the onions, the Eiruv Tavshilin was destroyed. Okay. Alpha v'lo bishel, o bishel v'lo alpha, v'nechal ha'erev, v'avad, Masha nasa beheter afilu nischafen bo letzorach yontif yochol hu lanichol haShabbos levashel mekam ve'elech v'yontif. This is a fascinating trick, halachic trick. A person made food for yontif, and now it was nechal ha'eruv. So take all the food that you made, use it up for Shabbos, and now make food for yontif. Because you're allowed to make food for Yontif without an Eiruv Tavshilin. Right? Right. I'll just share with you a story that happened in my house. It's happened more than once. And I'm going to share this story. This is a Hilchos Shabbos story, but it's a very important story. Many times it happens that you have different company than you normally have. And this happened on more than one occasion, that my wife decided to make the cholent in the chicken soup pot, and the chicken soup in the cholent pot. Because the company who was there, that was how it was going to work out. And you should never do this. Never switch the pots. I'm going to tell you what happened. This is the kind of things that happens to everybody. My daughter was serving the meal, and I told her, don't take the chicken soup pot off the fire. Bring the cholent pot, because that's where the chicken soup is in, right? That's like, you can't say something more clear than that, right? But not the teenager. So my daughter, the teenager, says, yeah. And she took off the chicken soup pot. Right? What? Obviously, right? Otherwise you would have been. So then there's a question if you could put it back or you can't put it back. There's A very complicated question. So that also depends. All these things depend on. That's a question that happens. You ask a rabbi, but that's why you shouldn't switch your pots. What? No, because every week she puts it down. You put it on the counter. It's not. There's no guessing over here. She knows what she's doing, right? At least she thought she knows what she's doing. Okay. So what? Okay. So now that's why that's not a good idea to switch your pots because we've done that. That's why I'm telling you the story, right? You can do that. In my parents' house, we ate chicken soup Shabbos morning every week. Okay, you left it on the blech, and we had chicken soup Shabbos morning. It was very good, and that's how I grew up. Nothing will happen to your chicken soup. Now, but people are not interested in eating on Friday night, but you can do that. So that's it. What?
Just a chunk Thursday night.
Yeah, okay.
That's good. You always have to sneak it. That's all the candles. So that's the candles.
Okay. Anyways, I'm just sharing that with you just for this idea that you can switch the menu. So if a person made their yontif meal and now the Eiruv was eaten, just take your yontif food, wrap it up, put it for Shabbos, and now make new food for yontif. That's like a trick. It works perfectly.
You can put the yontif food on the blech for Shabbos?
I think you could. We're going to see if I'm going to get up to reading the stipler that I wanted to read today. We'll see why I think you could do that. Okay. Now the next thing which we're going to learn over here is next halacha is a fascinating halacha. Mishalo Eiruv, a person forgot to make an Eiruv. Mutlir lahadlik ner shel Shabbos. A person can light Shabbos candles without an Eiruv Tavshilin. There's no need for Eiruv Tavshilin to light Shabbos candles. V'yesh oisrim, and those say that you do need to have Eiruv Tavshilin.
You do it early, so you
Yeah, but if you don't need it for Yontif, then that's not necessarily going to be enough of a reason to allow it. Why is it mutter lahadlik? Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. The hadlokas haner ein tzarich Eiruv. The day azu, the ein omer benusa, but then able to look at sharga. V'yesh oisim b'habeh achzav ikra kadei azu, v'kach anu omerem but the look at sharga. The gam ze nitor al yedei Eiruv. Eladim hiniach Eiruv v'loi omar. If you didn't say it, ein eser b'diavad. The memela nignar zeh after they said la chule v'shule, it's included. Avam lo hiniach klal aser rak ner echad mutter lahadlik b'chol oifen. V'yesh makilin kadei rishayna. And you're allowed to light a candle. Okay. Now, this halacha is a very negei halacha. People, I'm going to speak about things that I don't think too many people here in this shul have this problem. Those people who go away for yontif to the hotel. You go to the hotel for yontif, so do you make an Erev Tavshilin?
You should hope that the rabbi that's part of the hotel will make the
I didn't ask you how you could be Yaitza. I asked you, does one have to make an Erev Tavshilin?
Why would one make it? If someone's a guest by someone else's house, you make it Erev Tavshilin.
Okay, now I'm going to answer that question. The halacha is, when I make Erev Tavshilin, it includes all of my children. If my married children come for Yontif, does it include them? Why should you hope so?
Because they're part of your house.
Why are they part of my house?
They're not preparing unless they're helping to prepare.
No, that's the question of whether they need it. Let's say I invite you, Gil Gorelnik. I invite you to my house for Shabbos morning and for Friday night. Okay? What? Following Yontif. Yeah? Could you use my Erev Tavshilin?
You invited before Yontif?
I invited him now. Right now.
What's in the Erev Tavshilin for?
She wants to make a coffee. She wants to make coffee at home. Why?
It doesn't include what you're going to do in your own house.
Well, when she make this coffee?
She's what? No, I'm saying she wants to make hot water so she can have coffee. Okay. Okay. Now, even if you were staying in my apartment, I have a couple's apartment attached to my house, right? And you're staying there. Would you have to make Erev Tavshilin? Because you and you're not part of my family, right? Okay.
Even though you're spending the whole. So what about family members who come to visit?
Oh, that's what we started off with, right?
So it's only if you're planning to do something yourself.
Okay, well, we'll discuss that in a minute too. Okay, now, if I have married children, are my married children like Ilka Relnick? Or are they like my children that live at home?
They're their own malabai, but they're relatives, they're still relatives. Don't have to describe it.
Okay.
It's okay.
So the simple halacha would be that they would have to make their own Erev Tavshilin because they're not dependents. I don't get a tax break for them, right? They're not dependents.
Not to eat your food, that's to do their own food.
There's Erev Tavshilin, you have to have one for yourself. And I made Erev Tavshilin, I can't cook for you. It's we're going to learn about all these things. We're going to learn about them very soon. However, the minig in Klal Yisrael is that if you have company, that the company is with you for Yontif, we consider them as part of your family for that Yontif. So even Gil Gorelnik, if I decided that I'm having you for Yontif, not as the main course, but as the main guest, so then you would not have to make Erev Tavshilin. But that's not the simple halacha. The simple halacha is that you would have to make your own Erev Tavshilin. And I'll just tell you what happens in my house when my children come. If my children come for Shabbos, for Yontif, I have them mimanami a shliach to do Erev Tavshilin for them, or after I do the Erev Tavshilin, I give it to them and I say that you could say the nusach too, and they do it themselves. No. What? Can I wear tefillin for you? Can I wear tefillin for you?
Yes.
The
rabbi can make an Erev Tavshilin for me.
No.
So it's not a mitzvah.
Yeah, the rabbi can make an Erev Tavshilin for me.
The rabbi makes for a whole city.
That's right. We're going to learn all those halachas. We're going to learn about all these things. But the pashtus is that you need shlichus for him to do it for you. Okay? And he has to do it, and then that would take care of the problem. Now, but I just want to go back to where we started. When you're going to the hotel, I asked this question at this juncture for a very important reason. As much as all your food is being taken care of by your hotel, but none of your wives are having the rabbi's wife light candles for her, right? Every lady lights candles herself. So does she need an Erev Tavshilin?
You just said they don't need it. You just said there's a sheet that we don't need it anyway for lighting candles.
What I didn't say. I didn't say anything.
It's just like you light candles for yourself. You should make Erev Tavshilin.
No, but he's saying you said
No.
before that even if you
Or
miss
if the light
Erev Tavshilin, you
candles,
can
you should make an
light
Erev
candles.
Tavshilin.
No, if you didn't say it in the nusach, this halacha, let's see the halacha again. Mishalo Eiruv mutir lahadik ner shel Shabbos v'yesh oisrim. Right?
He said this is
So who do we pass on?
So the Mishnah Berurah says the choishish for the Iker Deya is like those the Yesh Oisrim. Okay? And therefore you would have to make Erev Tavshilin for lighting candles. However, if you're only making Erev Tavshilin to light candles, you don't make a bracha. Because then we're choishish for the Yesh Matirim, right? So, right. That's called burning the candle from both ends. Right? Okay. So this is that halacha. Okay. What? All right. Okay. Okay. Mi shelo Eiruv kishem she'asa levashel la'atzmo. A person didn't make Erev Tavshilin just like he can't cook for himself. Kach asa levashel la'acherim afil beveisam, and they made an Erev Tavshilin. V'gam acherim asurim levashel loy. and others are forbidden to, you didn't make an Erev Tavshilin, you're out of business. Ve'ein lo takana, ela sheyiten kimcho v'tavshilo l'acherim, she'erevu b'matana. You give your food, your ingredients to somebody else to make, and no, and then they cook for themselves, and they're giving you.
This sounds like haram to me, and I never quite understand this haram. Really, they know they're cooking for you. They're cooking an extra kilo, and they're doing it with for themselves. But really, they're doing it for you.
But it's all theirs.
Well,
you have to be makneh to them. You have to make a kinyan.
And then makneh back to you the food.
Yeah. Okay. אין תגל שהיא קמחה לתבשיל האחרים שארבו במתנה והם אופן מבשל בנויסטן לוי ואפילו בבייסו יכולים לבשל ואין שם אחרים שערבו יש שם שמותר לאפוס בצמצום פס אחד ולבשל כדרה אחת ולהדליק נר אחד. A person who is in a desperate situation, he's allowed to have one food, one bread, and one candle. Okay? It's the minimal survival mode. Okay, next halacha, the Ramah is very important. You made an Erev Tavshilin, but you didn't say, what are you doing with it? You said I should be able to do everything. That's like you did nothing. Without saying the nusach, it's like you did nothing. Even if you made an Erev Tavshilin, if you're fasting, because you can't, the whole purpose is that it's cooking for Yom Tov and you're leaving over for Shabbos. If you're fasting, then you can't cook. It's like you didn't make an Erev. Okay. Now, I'm going to read this Mishnah Berurah on this halacha because it's a very important halacha. Mishla Eiruv, v'dafka echa me'an she'ir she'enu nitful isasai, v'tavshil shel chaveroi. Aval ishtayu b'nei beisa shel adam, people who are part of your household, kiven she'er balabayis, heim nitfolim loy, u'mutar levashal, aval bishla erev la'atzum klal, v'gam hu lo zika lohem ayidei acher, and he wasn't mizakeh to them at all. But they're included in his Eiruv.
The standard, right?
Who makes the king? Who's the someone they're giving it to? So it doesn't help. Okay. Somebody who's the Rav, who he does it for all the people, he gives it to someone that's not part of his household. Okay. ואחרים אפילו בבייסם, וכמש מולון, דלא יאמין כיוון שהם ערבו ויכולים לבשל לעצמם, יכולים לעשות שליח עבורם, וכיוון שהוא לא ערב, איסור רמי עלי לבשל, on him to cook. גם אחרים, רצה לומר אפילו בבייסם, לבשל לוי, והיינו מקמחוי. ואף שהם ערבו, לא יהותר להם לקח קמח שלוי, וגם קמחוי נסר כל זמן שהוא שלוי. His kemach is usher as long as it belongs to him. It's uneiruved kemach. Yeah. Acherim she'iru b'atana, v'hainu b'meshicha l'reshusam. They have to do real choshen mishpat kinyan. Oy b'hagba b'chol makom. De'ilu b'kinyan sudar, usher, that's not enough. V'mein sham acherim, v'acherim eskim da'afilu yesh sham acherim, ala she'enu roitze lahaklis lem me'ezetam. He doesn't want to give it to them for whatever reason. Gam ke mutulo lafos pasachas, and to have one candle. Achem be'emes nacham od sheyikle kimchol acher kedei sheyochol lafos avuro lechem mishnah, because if you're just going to have one, you're not going to have lechem mishnah. Okay? B'tzimtzum pas acher, ve'irafiu pas gadol sheyir da'al l'chol Shabbos. You're allowed to make one bread, even if it's going to be a big one, that'll be enough for all Shabbos. Because Kavod Shabbos is so important that we allowed this to be done. You're not allowed to make for Lechem Mishnah. Havi Kamishla Eiruv, Kivan the tiknu chacham sheyiporet ikrei malachas. Since Chazal said you should elaborate on the ikr malachas, in pirat rak miksasa kigon she'amar rak lafuye v'lo hiska bishul v'hatmana aser behem. Then you're not allowed to do the brishul and hatmana. V'yesh chok on ikr din zeh. The Sfir Lahu, the Amir Hav Shel Ba'adein, Ein Rak L'Mitzvah L'Chatchila, Al V'yeh V'kivan Sheniach Tashel L'Shem Eiruv, Afil L'Omar Kol Nusach, Ba'adein, Ein Ma'akiv. The whole Nusach is not Ma'akiv. Umutter Lismach Olav L'Asas Kol V'Lachas B'Yom Tov L'Shabbos. U'Le'inyan Halacha. What's the bottom line? L'Chatchila Yesh L'Hachmer Kezor Rishayna, Al Kelim Niska Kelim Krisa Shabbos, this Yontif, Yachzer V'yitel Eiruv V'Yodoi, V'Yomer Nusach Ba'adein. You should say, take the Eiruv again, and they say the Nusach. But you should make a new bracha. In Kvar Birach Batchila. V'nisker b'Erev Shabbos, yikle kimcha la'cherim, b'hem yavashlu b'yitin loy, v'meinu mila haklas yochel lismach asvar achroina, and say that the Nusach is not ma'akiv.
Since Chazal said you have to say the Nusach, therefore.
If you didn't say it, it doesn't work. Yeah.
Why would the Chazal make the Nusach?
That's what the Eiruv is.
The Eiruv is starting off my food. So I have this food here, and I'm saying this is my Eiruv. If I don't say,
Well, you know, I'm going to ask you a question. No, I don't like questions that have no basis to them. Your question, I want to ask you a question. Does he have to have it in mind? Or if he cooked it, it doesn't make a difference?
This is my Eiruv.
Well, why does it? What about if I just cooked? Why can't that be enough even if I didn't have it in mind? So once you have to leave an Eiruv, so maybe it has to be done with Dibur. If you're saying if you have to have food cooked, so then you could tell me what's the difference if I said it or if I didn't say it. But once you're telling me there has to be a intelligent appreciation of the mitzvah of Eiruv being fulfilled, what's the difference if I tell you it has to be done with Dibur or if it has to be done with Machshava? I don't understand why one is easier for you to understand than the other.
Because you're talking about a guy who separates on his food saying, I'm doing what Chazal said of leaving Eiruv.
Then what?
I would have thought, we learned these halachas, that I don't have to say, that.
1 second. You were under the opinion that you don't have to say anything.
Okay, you have to think. Okay.
Why do you have to think? You have food and that's enough. Okay, so now when Chazal said that you have to do, so then they didn't rely on that there is, you have to do, so then there's halachas, how it has to be done. Yeah, what about B'dikas Chum? It's a person, why do I have to say Kochamir? Totally different than what? I did ask anything about B'dika. I said, why do you have to say? So I know.
I'm not saying you don't say the
Well, of course it's market.
You just say, this is my Eiruv.
So that's once we're ready in the point that we understand that you have to say what you have to say. That's very easy to understand that what they said, that you have to say what you're doing.
So by Kedushin, if you're in the Indian and you don't say the it's a Kedushin, huh?
I want to tell you something. I'm going to share with you a story that happened to me in Ramat Beit Shemesh. If anyone wants to give me a kibud by a chasana, the kibud that I like the least is to be an aid. Okay? And I'm going to just share with you a fascinating thought. I have a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, who's also a Rav, and we're both at a chasana together. He was the Masada Kedushin and I was the aid. And after the chuppah, he tells me, thank you very much. So, you understand, this is my friend, okay? So I said, thank you very much for what? So he says to me, we live in a world of sheker. So I said, why is that? I said, because people walk away from here thinking that I'm the Masada Kedushin and you're the aid. In truth, you are the aid, you are the one that makes the Kedushin happen. I, as the Masada Kedushin, are just an aid, an English word, an aid. I am just there to, yeah. So he says, this is, the Alma de Shikra, we have it exactly backwards. Who's the Masada Kedushin and who's the aid? Okay, so because when you're the aid, you have to see everything that happens. And when I go to Chasana and I'm not on stage, I don't look at anything that happens. Because usually when I look and see things that happen, I'm not happy with what I see. So I was at a Chasana here in Beit Shemesh, and I was an aid. And there's a famous Gemara that actually happened. The person gave the girl the ring, and then he said, Harayat Mekudeshes. I don't know what Rabbi Reisman says, but according to the Gemara, right, it doesn't work. Okay? And the person who was the Masada Kedushin was somebody that I never met him before. And what? He didn't know it. It's not. He had no idea. He had no idea. So I told him that this doesn't work. We have to do it again. And the guy looks at me and doesn't know. I don't know how big a Talmid Chacham he was, but he wasn't interested in being embarrassed in front of all these people. I said, it's absolutely fine. We'll have the Chassan and Kala. This is all under the chuppah, the Chassan and Kala. The Chassan will break the glass. While he's breaking the glass, we're going to have him be makna back to her, be makna back to him the ring, and he'll say it again, and nobody will notice. That's exactly what happened. So we did the Kedushin the second time without anybody missing any. Now, I was at a different chasna shortly after that, and what happened was the Masada Kedushin said to the chassan that he can say the nusach of Harayat Mekudeshes Li on the microphone. And then when it came to the Sheva Brachas, he said the Sheva Brachas should be done without a microphone. Now, this already got me annoyed. I wouldn't mind if he did both, either all with or without. But the question over here is, and this has to do with what he's talking about, if this has to do with the Gemara says that if the Gemara has a question, if you say, Harei, all kinds of Lashonis, the Gemara is a Mesafik if they're good Lashonis or not. So the Shaila is, why doesn't it work? Al Sasukim Baisoinyan. So the Rishonim and the Achronim are busy with this question. And Rabbi Baruch Ber, he answer to this question is, he says, because if you say you want to do it with Dibur, Asukim Baisoinyan doesn't help. You have two Masulim. You could do Asukim Baisoinyan, and then you have to say nothing. But if you chose to work with Dibur, then you precluded that a Sukha doesn't work. And if the Dibur doesn't work, you have nothing. Okay? So the Maisa is worthless. You gave a girl a present, big deal.
Yeah, but it's in context, and either
that's called a Sukha Baisoinyan.
Right. So
and that doesn't work when you said you want to be Mekadosh with Dibur. I don't know what you want. That's exactly.
You by giving her something.
No. You need to have a Dibur.
You need to do it to make it so it's also in it.
No. And this is you have to see the piece. This is what Baruch Ber is busy with this exact question. This is like a fascinating idea, and just when you want to have an aid for Kedushin, don't use me. Okay. Yeah. All right. No, but I'm just saying that so, but once you have to have a nusach, so could you have to do the nusach right? Okay. Anyways, in this guy, Shaloi, Eiruv Kodim to the Shachris, Yivashal Harbi B'Gder Achas V'Yasir L'Shabbos. You could make it on before the Yontif meal, you can make a lot and leave over. The Chapa says a dover, you could use a candle in a dark room and leave it there so you have it for the nighttime. It's before you're eating, and you can say that it's for the Yontif meal. Now, I'd just like to share with you on this a question that I had this Sukkot. I was asked this question twice this Sukkot. Two people that I know, actually from two different neighborhoods, they don't know each other at all. Both of them, I think Yontif was over like on a Wednesday or something like that. And both of them, their children were getting married before Shabbos, and they wanted to cook for Shabbos Sheva Brachos on Chol Hamoed. Okay? And they asked me if they can do it. And I said, no. You know why? Because you're not allowed to. Okay? That's okay. Okay, but that doesn't make me a good rabbi, right? That just means that I know what it says in Shulchan Aruch. I said to them, however, if you make, out of every food that you make, you eat some of it on Yontif, then you're allowed to do it.
What? You're going to make 60 portions of chicken and eat one?
No, it has to be one kedei, one thing, yeah. You can make a big pot of potatoes and eat one potato. And that's, this is just the same idea. We just learned this right now.
Is there any way to explain this like that we don't feel like it's our I mean, we all feel like you had this huge pot over here. Come on.
I just would like to. No. This is it. Your question is a good question. I want to. What? I'm going to share with you a Hilchos Shabbos question, and I think that this will answer your peeve. I don't think anybody has any question. That's a peeve. When I teach Hilchos Hachana from Shabbos to Chol, I speak about this case. You have a lady who's a babysitter, a girl who's a babysitter, and it's 6:30, 7 o'clock on Shabbos afternoon, and Shkia is going to be in like another half hour, and the kids are already getting, riled up, and she's afraid that, she's going to lose control. So she says, okay, let's get into pajamas. And she makes a whole ritual out of getting all the kids into pajamas, and she calms them down during that. And now the kids just have, 20 minutes to wait till Havdalah, and everything is going to be fine. Okay? Is that mutter to do? There's no reason for them to get in pajamas now. They could have gotten pajamas after Havdalah, right? So, in theory, her getting them in pajamas is hachana.
She's doing it to calm them down.
She's not doing it because she wants to do extra Shabbos. She's doing it because it's schedule.
Okay. Now, if I were to ask you, why did the lady put the kids in pajamas?
So they make Motzei Shabbos. Maybe she says because I wanted to give them something to do.
Okay. The answer is, even if I'm going to let's just okay. I want to have, it's right now 12 o'clock Yontif, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, 12 o'clock. And I want to have soda for the second night. So I put a bottle of soda in the refrigerator, and before I go to shul, for mincha, I open up the bottle and I drink a cup of soda. Am I allowed to do that?
Yes.
Why? But why did you put the bottle of soda in the fridge? If it wouldn't have been for tomorrow, you wouldn't have put the bottle of soda in the fridge, right? But the bottom line is you're benefiting from it today, so that erases the hachana aspect from it.
So, it's not a bottle. 20,000 plates at one.
You
It's a little bit.
You're cooking
You
for
can't-
simcha, I'm saying.
you can't drink your cup without putting the bottle in, but you can make one potato, you don't have to make 50 potatoes.
Okay, but that's once you're making one thing. That's the concept. All right. Okay.
You take a little bite of each potato.
No one's going to come this other day.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Im nisker b'yom tov rishon shelo Eiruv, im yom tov shel Rosh Hashanah ena yochel la'arv al tanai. You can't make an yom tov and erev Tavshilin. Avol im yom tov shel Goliath yochel la'arv b'tanai. What's the tanai? Im hayom kodesh eni tzach Eiruv. Why? Because tomorrow is Chol, and Chol you're allowed to make for Shabbos. Okay. V'im hayom Chol. For tomorrow. So you're before Yontif, so it's Peseder. Ain't tzach loymar klum. V'yesham and the lesle midi the bashal esmol lo mahani tanoi. It doesn't work. Okay. This is also a fascinating idea. Mishnah Berurah and yochel arval tanai lefisha shnei yom Rosh Hashanah hem ki yom echad aruch v'lo mishum sveika kashar yom tovim shel Goliath. They're not like other Yom Tov Shel Goliath that they are Mishum Sofik. There is an exception, which I'll just mention right now. The Chassam Sofer says that Shavuos also is not Mishum Yom Tov Shel Goliath. It's not a Sofik. But that's not brought in the halacha in most places. All right. Shavuos is 50 days. We're talking about the second day of Shavuos, right? Because
America here never comes out.
I'm not talking about the yontif of 2 days of the second day of Shavuos is not a Sveika D'Yom issue because it's already 50 days. We already know when what we call is, and it's worse. It's more chomer. It's a din d'Rabbanan. It's not a suffix. Yeah. Okay. It's Jewish Chassam Sofer.
Here we do one day. Nothing much of it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Well, you don't have. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. Now the Mishnah Berurah discusses a fascinating question.
So they could call it Yom HaRif.
No, it's not a Yom HaRichta. It's not a Yom HaRichta, but it's a din d'Rabbanan that you have 2 days. It's not because of Sveika D'Yoma. It's a din d'Rabbanan to have 2 days. Now, the Mishnah Berurah over here discusses a question which any Lamdin would ask. So now, when you're making this Erev Tavshilin on Yontif Rishon, do you make a bracha or not? Right? Okay. Umevarach tefillah. He makes a bracha beforehand. Umechdusha v'kivege b'shem sefer lechem starim de'en levarach. V'cheinu b'shitu mekubetzes that one does not make a bracha. V'yesham dileslei naktina kisar rishayna, and you can make a whatchamacallit. Okay. Im avar b'mezid or b'shagi u'bishal kama kedere shaloi b'tzarech yontif muter la'achlon b'shabbos or b'chol. Okay. V'imherim levashel shtei kederes b'tzarech yontif v'hoyser la'achas b'tzarech machar also la'achol. If you made 2 kederes for today and you left one for tomorrow, you cannot eat it because that's called that you made a harama. Now, I just would like to mention a fascinating thing on Erev Tavshilin, which is a discussion in the Avnei Miluyim, discussion by the Stipler. What does Erev Tavshilin allow one to do? Okay. I'm going to ask a question. In most houses in Klal Yisrael, people wash their dishes for the night on Friday. Now, according to what you people said, it should be usher. I asked you, what does Erev Tavshilin allow you to do? And you said to cook. Yeah. Do you eat the plates?
No, I don't keep carrying food to the whatever.
Okay, well, that is called, washing your plates are called machshirei oichel nefesh. And the question is, does Erev Tavshilin, does it allow one to do machshirei oichel nefesh? And the pashtus is it doesn't. However, there are those that say something which is fascinating, and I'm just going to say over this concept. Anything that you can do on Shabbos, you don't need an Erev Tavshilin to allow you to do it. And being that I can wash my dishes on Shabbos, if I'm using them on Shabbos, so I can wash them without an Erev Tavshilin. Because it doesn't need an Erev Tavshilin, it's just permissible to be done. But things that one cannot do it, then there'll be a problem what it includes and what it doesn't include. Okay? So it doesn't necessarily include everything. You should just be aware of that. Maybe before one Yontif we'll discuss all the things that are excluded.